Army uses it, so does the Luftwaffe, and so, most importantly, do the U-boats. And if the U-boats get control of the North Atlantic, our merchant ships won't stand a chance. They'll starve us out. So, the enigma has to be broken. Somehow. Top priority.
Have you got any tea?
Yes, I think so.
No. No tea, just coffee. The bread's all mouldy.
No, we can get some breakfast later.
Look, I'm starving. Aren't there any shops round here?
Yes, there's one at the end of the road.
Well, I'll nip down, shall I? Have you got any money?
Well, put some clothes on. Go on.
Right.
I'll give you some money.
Right, I'll get some tea and bread. And how about some bacon?
Have you been taking money out of my wallet?
What?
Okay, you heard.
I haven't touched your bloody wallet.
I had £15 in here yesterday. There's £7 left.
Yeah, well, it's got nothing to do with me.
Well, where's it gone then?
How should I know?
Come on, give it back.
I haven't got it.
I don't believe you.
All right, search me.
Don't be
Go on,
ridiculous.
search me.
Look, you've hidden it somewhere.
What were you talking about? Why should I take money from you?
You said you were hard up.
I didn't.
You said you were out of work.
So what?
No, please, Ron, give it back.
Oh, piss off.
Now, come on, give it back, and we'll say no more about it.
I am not a bloody thief.
But you just said you were. You said you were on probation.
Well, if you think I pinched the money, call the police. Go on, there's the phone.
Put it down.
What are you waiting
Ron,
for?
put it
Come
down.
on.
Put it down. Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But look, perhaps I made a mistake. We're going.
I'm not bloody staying here.
No, please, don't go.
No, please don't go.
No, look, I must have made a mistake. I mean, I thought there was £15, but there wasn't. Come on, let's forget about it. Go on, go and get us some breakfast.
Get it yourself.
No, look, I've said I'm sorry.
So what?
Well, let's be friends. Do you want some money? Do you? How much do you need?
I'm not a bloody renter.
No, I know. But if you want money, you've only got to ask me.
All right, call it a loan, then.
Well, how much?
3.
Go on, go and get us some breakfast.
All right.
There are no oranges and no lemons, so we made a fruit cocktail out of apples and pears.
It's a depressing colour.
Don't start finding fault. Things are difficult enough these days. Pat's coming to church with me.
Oh, good.
Do come, Alan, dear.
No, not today. Oh!
What's the matter?
It's terribly sour.
Is it?
You try some.
Well, I already have. I'm so glad you were able to come down today. It's so rarely Alan introduces any of his friends to us, hardly ever, in fact. Of course, it was different when he was at school. His friend Chris used to come most holidays. Charming boy and a very nice family.
Mother, I don't think Pat wants to hear about my boyhood friendships.
Why not? It's always interesting to learn something about people you're fond of. Would you like some more?
Oh, yes, please.
Do come to church, Alan. It'd be so nice if we all went together.
What is the point?
Well, does there have to be a point?
Well, it seems idiotic for a non-believer to spend his Sunday evening in church.
He was once extremely devout.
I was no such thing. You never understood what I thought. This needs sugar. Now, don't we have any sugar?
Well, we only get 8 ounces a week. Or doesn't rationing apply to people like you?
Oh, so people like me?
One's always hearing about people in hush-hush jobs living off the fat of the land.
Would you say we lived off the fat of the land?
Hardly.
Well, absolutely not. And stop fishing.
Fishing?
Yes, all these little hints about hush-hush jobs. You know perfectly well we can't tell you what we do.
Don't be cross. I'll go and see if we've got any sugar.
She's quite right, you know.
Hmm? What about?
Well, I do like hearing about... I do like hearing about your family and friends. I wish you talked about them.
Oh, I do, sometimes.
Who's Chris?
Christopher Morecambe. We were at school together.
Your mother obviously liked him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he was a very remarkable boy. Oh, he was very clever, very perceptive, very mature for his age. He made everybody else seem so ordinary. It was one of those intense friendships that only happen when you're young. I worship the ground he walked on.
Have you kept in touch?
He died.
Oh.
No, he'd had TB when he was a small boy. And he hadn't really recovered, and I didn't know. I mean, he never told me. He was taken ill at school. We were all asleep. Next morning I had him in rushed to hospital, and he died 6 days later. Thursday, February the 13th, 1930. I was devastated.
Poor Alan.
Oh, I felt I should have died, not him. And the only possible excuse for living was that I should achieve something that Christopher could no longer do. I used to think, you know, after he died, I almost believed he was still with me. In spirit, and could help me. I suppose, gave my mother the impression I was devoutly religious. Wasn't that at all. I was obsessed with this idea, this question, whether or not Christopher's mind could exist without his body. I mean, it was an obsession that stayed with me for years. What are mental processes? Can they take place in something other than a living brain? You see, in a way, in a very real way, many of the problems I've tried to solve in my work lead directly back to Christopher. Wouldn't he be amused?
I think he'd be pleased.
Hope so. Look at this. It's a fur coat.
I can see it's a fur coat.
Well, take it. Go on, look at it. I am going to tell you something extraordinary about this fur coat.
It looks ordinary enough to me.
Define what is meant by a Fibonacci sequence.
A Fibonacci sequence is a sequence of numbers where each is the sum of the previous two. So you start with 1, then 1 plus 1 equals 2. 1 and 2, 3. 2 and 3, 5. 3 and 5, 8.
5 and 8, 13. Good. Well done. Full marks. Now, look at the fur coat. Look at the pattern of the bracts, the leaves. Follow them, spiraling round the cone. 8 lines twisting to the left, 13 lines twisting to the right. The numbers always come from a Fibonacci sequence.
Always?
Always. And it's not just fir cones. The petals of most flowers grow in the same way. Isn't that amazing?
Yes, it is.
And it prompts the age-old question. Is God a mathematician?
I love you, Prof. I love you. You know that.
Yes.
You're supposed to say, I love you too.
Yes, I know.
Please say something.
Well, I don't think of myself as a very lovable person.
Well, you are.
Lots of men at Bletchley far more lovable than I am.
That's where you're wrong.
Don't be silly. Of course there are. I see them every lunchtime. All rushing around, laughing, playing rounders. I'm amazed you haven't fallen in love with one of them.
Because they're dull, that's why.
So am I.
Oh, that's where you're wrong. You're untidy and messy and lacking almost all the social graces. I mean, your clothes are stained and you bite your nails. You tell the truth when it would be kinder to tell a lie. And you've got no patience with people who bore you, but you are not dull. And I love you.
As a matter of fact, I do love you.
As a friend.
As a friend.
That might change. Perhaps it might change.
No. I'm a homosexual.
I know. That doesn't stop me loving you. It needn't stop you loving me.
It would stop me making love to you. I don't want that sort of life. And I don't think you do either.
I got an extremely closely guarded secret in this room. Real scotch. Like some?
No, not for me, thank you. I don't like it.
You don't? What a shame. I thought a modest celebration might be appropriate. Pat tells me you've managed to decode some German U-boat messages.
Yes, for a time we thought we'd done it, but now it seems the Germans have improved the Enigma machine, so we're going to have to find a new way in. Well, we'll do it, Knox, but we need faster machinery.
Well, at least the government is properly aware of how important your work is. The geese who lay the golden eggs. Isn't that what Churchill said?
Oh, you meant all of us.
You in particular.
This is very flattering, Knox. You're making me feel uneasy.
And why's that?
Well, I sense a sting in the tail approaching.
Well, not a sting exactly. I gather you've been chaining your tea mug to the radiator.
That's not an unreasonable precaution. Tea mugs are in very short supply.
Some people find it irritating.
Well, I find it irritating that some people should be irritated.
I do think you might be a little more discreet.
What, about my tea mug?
About this young engineer chap you've got working with you. Tongues are beginning to wag.
Am I in for a lesson in morals?
In common sense. I mean, I don't give a tuppenny damn whether you choose to go to bed with choir boys or cocker spaniels, but it would be wiser to keep your private life to yourself.
Is this an official reprimand?
Friendly advice, nothing more. I mean, first things first. What we are doing here, and most especially what you're doing here, has a direct and crucial bearing on the progress of the war. Well, a pretty young engineer comes a rather poor second to that, surely.
I thought you said rules only mattered in cricket.
Oh, it's such nonsense, this contemporary obsession with sexual fulfillment. Passion is dreadfully overrated, if you ask me. One is happiest when sex is a dimly remembered pleasure, like climbing apple trees or building sandcastles.
Well, you can hardly expect me to agree with that.
Well, like all of us, I can only speak from personal experience. I've been happily married for over 20 years, and I'm glad to say that passion has never played a significant role in our relationship. Understanding and companionship can be relied upon. Passion is forever fleeting.
Well, perhaps one brief moment of passion is worth more than 20 years of uneventful companionship.
Oh, I didn't say it was uneventful. Anyway, we're not talking about me, we're talking about you.
Yes. I hear you're not very well.
What's that got to do with it?
Nothing. I'm changing the subject.
A great many people, administrators and the military alike, regard Bletchley as a hotbed of anarchy and unruliness. They pray for an excuse to bring us to heel.
Well, they're small-minded, petty, spiteful.
Maybe.
What is the point of having a system that gives authority to people who don't deserve it?